Yeah. I was just sitting here thinking about it. This order is in effect, until the expiration date on page one. Yeah. This is my certified copy. If the duration of this order exceeds 1 year, the court finds that an order of 1 year or less, yes, will be insufficient to prevent further acts of domestic violence. Yeah. Now, I'm just wondering what acts of domestic violence took place. See, will be insufficient to prevent a further act of domestic violence, further acts, multiple acts. As in, we're going to issue this for 10 years because you've been arrested multiple times for beating the shit out of your wife and abusing your sons. But when I look at the actual, what actually took place, yes. You issued this, and I wasn't a resident. You arrested me, yes, at the same time as serving me the dissolution of marriage. I get out of jail, right. I respond within the 90 days. I go through a court hearing during that time in May of 2012, May, June, and July. Yes, I was found not guilty. And then my record was expunged. Yes, yes, yes. Now, these further acts of domestic violence will be insufficient to prevent further acts of domestic violence. Yeah. Now, I would think that's inclusive of further acts of child abuse. Now, considering, right, I last was at a court hearing where there was a jury trial. Yes. And that would have been July of 2012. Yeah. And it's 2019. It's February of 2019. Now, I did not violate any of the restraint provisions in the year 2013. Yeah. 2014. 2015. Yes. But on December 31st of 2015, there was the allegation that I was in Sequim, Washington. Yes. When I was at the Hagens at 9 a.m. I was in this library that day. Yes. And I was on the bus that morning. Yeah. And you issued it for 10 years before all of that took place, so that obviously would not be sufficient to prevent further acts. So I sit here year after year after year, and you issued it for 10 years. 10 years, Jack. See, July 31st of 2025. Now, since my record was expunged, right, and I had no criminal record, I had no arrest record, yes, I just wanted to know what further acts of domestic violence were justification for 10 years. Now, just looking at it, okay. After I was found not guilty, yes. How is it possible that this court was influenced in such a way, yes, as to think that it's not, violating the laws to issue this using forgeries? Yeah. Fraud? Yes. And then I found out that my sons, three of these sons, are actually going to graduate after the 19 years old. Yes. Are you sure that Homeland Security hasn't been keeping them from me for certain reasons that I don't know about? Because having Zachary and Bishop graduating when they're 19 and a half years old, yes, I would say that's child abuse and child neglect. Now, these minors named that should have the same privilege as the church, yes, I'm involved in the church, and I just wanted to know, am I barking up the wrong tree? Maybe you don't understand the question. You issued the to prevent further acts of domestic violence for 10 years. When my record was expunged, I was found not guilty, and I had no arrest record. And you did that because you're fucking pissed off that I don't do what you say. I wouldn't have a mental health evaluation. Yeah. But you made me do it, didn't you? And then I wasn't in Brennan, and I sent you emails from Port Angeles. And then there's this whole idea of emailing. Yes, somebody at Ms. Budnick's workplace, including people, multiple persons at Heidi Budnick's workplace. I never emailed them. And then you make me go to court for 14 months, and then you dismiss the case because I'm incompetent. Now, for Homeland Security, yes, I have a problem with this whole idea of the mailing of the notices of court hearings during the dissolution of marriage. I mentioned the post office. You know, I want to tell you a personal story, what happened, because I think it's applicable. When I was on Guam, I took a ride with these persons that happen to own a convenience store. Yes. And they were delivering the mail to the Tamuning Plaza. Well, I noticed that there were several packages from the United States Postal Service in that vehicle. And they looked at me like I was supposed to tell them something. Well, I looked at them and I said, you should not be opening the mail of those that you want to know what's in their mail because it's a type of mail fraud. Ooh. Now, let's say you're an employee of the United States Postal Service and you accidentally lose a letter or maybe notice of a dissolution of marriage. Or you decide to open up the package and then you reseal it. Yes, because you have to know what the individual's receiving. Now, when I go through the United States Postal Service, okay, I'm going to want to know those that are mail carriers, and those that actual process the mail, yes, because this idea of what I did not see, if you're going to violate my right to use my personal electronics because you have to filter and monitor my email access, or if I, well, go on to a website where they have to be over the age of 18, what's to say you wouldn't open my mail? Find out what it was I was being sent. Now, I know Homeland Security's got their top secret way of doing things right now. But I'm telling you, I want to know every employee of the United States Postal Service. Because you dumb fuckers think that you can go through anything that belongs to an American citizen. That you can actually have my passwords to my email accounts, and you can filter and monitor what I do with my personal electronics. That means that you think that you have the right to go through my mail. Now, it's one of these where in 2019, oh my gosh, you decided to open the box without any real justification other than you just wanted to know what's inside of it.